Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on. Because 5 bus stops with X passengers, so that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got X on both sides, so we look at the X's. We've got 12X and 6X, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6X both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got X is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for X? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says X has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. There's an awful lot going on in this question. Whenever there's an awful lot going on, it's always best to draw a diagram. So we're going to start off at Chiltern, which is a C. Then we go to Bolko, that's where we're going. And we go through Devley on the way. So we'll do D there. Distance from Chiltern to Devley is 34 miles. Distance from Devley to Bovlow is 16 miles. So I'm just reading through the question, adding it to my diagram. David leaves Chiltern at 9 o'clock. He drives from Chiltern to Devley an average speed of 68 miles per hour. And what speed does David travel between Devley and Bolko to arrive at 9:45? So the whole duration of this, the whole thing needs to be 45 minutes or 0.75 hours. And the entire distance is 34 plus 16, so that would be 50 miles. Okay, now having a look at this, we need to find out what time David was at Devley. So we're going to use our speed distance time triangle. So speed equals distance over time, and we're covering up the time because that's the one we want. So it's going to be time equals distance, which is 34, over speed, which is 68. So we're going to do 34 divided by 68, which is 0.5. So it would be 0.5 hours. So that would be half an hour. So we will be at Devley at 9:30. So that means we've got 15 minutes left. Okay, so we've got 15 minutes to travel the 16 miles. So this time we're looking for the speed. Okay, so it would be speed equals the distance, which is 16 miles, over time, which is 15 minutes, but we need that in hours, so that'd be 0.25 hours. And so what we can do here is times top 1 by 4 to get rid of the fraction. So it becomes 64 over 1, or just 64 miles per hour. So our answer is 64 miles per hour. We can't work out what x is straight away, but we can find this value here. And we know with Pythagoras we can find a third length if we've got other two in a right angled triangle. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And a and b were labelled. C is always opposite the right angle, so it'd be 49 squared plus b squared equals 68 squared. And 49 squared is 2,401. And 68 squared is 4,624. So we are solving here, so let's get our lines down. And we're going to start by subtracting the 2,401 from both sides. So we've got b squared equals 2,223. Then we're going to square root both sides, and we've got b equal to 47.148, blah blah blah. Okay, we're now looking at the second diagram, and this time we're going to have a, we've got our b, and we're going to call x the c. So it would be a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but this time a is 39. B we are given as 47.148, we've just worked that out. And we're looking for c, in fact we can call it x now. Okay, so we need to square that. So we do 39 squared plus 47.148 squared, and that will be 3,744 equal to x squared, and we just get our lines in because we need to square root both sides, and we get 61.188 blah 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 is equal to x. It says it wants its two decimal places, so that would be 61.19. Integer just means whole number, so we're looking for all the whole numbers that satisfy these two inequalities. Well, the first inequality says that it has to be greater than 3. So the smallest number that is greater than 3 is 4. The second inequality says it has to be less than or equal to 8. So I'm just going to keep going until I get to a number that is less than or equal to 8. It can't be 9 because 9 is not less than or equal to 8. So our answer is 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4. And to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4. And whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. To find the exterior angle of any polygon, we do 360 divided by the amount of sides. These are decagons, which means they have 10 sides. So the exterior angles will be 36 degrees. And the exterior angle is just an angle that kind of continues on. You just continue on from the side. So this one here is the exterior angle of the left-hand decagon, and this one here is the exterior angle on the right-hand decagon. So altogether, the angle A will be 36 plus 36, which will be 72. So our answer will be 72 degrees. There's a lot going on with this question, so I'm going to start off just having a look at the total amount of money. So I'm going to do this in pence, so 2115 pence. And if each merit point is worth 3 pence, then we can work out the amount of merit points by doing 2,115 divided by 3. So that gives us 705. So there's 705 merit points. Next, have a look at the question here, this part here, where it says James has X merit points. Sarah has 4 times as many points as James, so she's going to have 4x. Robert has 69 fewer merit points than James, so he's going to have x minus 69. And we know that that equals 705 because we've just worked that out. And this feels like a solving coming on. So we've got x plus 4x plus x, which is 6x. Minus 69 equals 705. And we're going to add 69 to both sides. So we've got 6x equals 774. Then we're going to divide 6 both sides. And so we've got x equals 129. So x equals 129. That means James has 129. Sarah has 4 times more, so she will have 516. And Robert has 69 fewer, so we're going to take 69 away from that, and that will equal 60. So in this question we are told that the centre of enlargement is at 6, 4. So let's just put across there. And what I'm going to do is just draw ray lines from the centre of enlargement, and we're just going to go through each of the corners of our shape A. And we're going to just check whether it goes through the corner of shape B, which it does on this one. Let's just keep going. Yeah, it does on this one. But it does not on this one. So it says find the coordinate of the vertex of shape B that is not correct. So the coordinate is this one here, and so that would be -4, 1. The most important first thing that we do is whenever you square something, you times it by itself. So we're going to rewrite this as x minus 15 times x minus 15. And then the way we approach this is exactly the same as we've done with the other ones. We're going to do a multiplication grid. And we're going to do x minus 15 at the top, x minus 15 at the bottom. Then we're going to do x times x, which is x squared, x times minus 15, which is minus 15x. Same again here. And then we've got a minus times a minus, which is a positive 225. Put all the terms together. Now you can see here that we've got the x terms here that will add together. So that would become minus 30x plus 225, and that's actually our answer. So it's x squared minus 30x plus 225. The formula for an exterior angle for a regular polygon is 360 divided by the amount of sides. Now here we're given the fact that the exterior angle is 30 and we're looking for n, so we just need to rearrange the equation. We can times both sides by n. And then divide both sides by 30. And so we've got n equals 360 divided by 30. And when you do 360 divided by 30, we get the answer of 12. So it's a 12-sided shape. To find out what the value of x is, we first of all have to find out what the value of y is. And we can notice that we've got two sets of parallel lines here, and a line going through them. And we kind of got these f angles, which we have to call corresponding angles. So we know that 2y minus 50 is equal to 78, and we must write down the reason. So corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are equal. Now here we've got an equation and we want to solve it, so we get our lines in. We'll go first of all add 50 to both sides. So we've got 2y equals 78 plus 50, which would be 128. And then we're going to halve both sides, or divide by 2. So we've got 64. So we know that y is 64. And so we look back at the diagram to find out how we'd work out x. Well, what we can do, there's a few different things we can do. We could work out the fact that these two here are vertically opposite. That would be absolutely fine. But actually, if we look at this part here and this part here, these are also two parallel lines, and we've got this angle here and this angle are going to be alternate. So I can write that down here. So angle ECB is equal to 78 degrees. So this will be 78 degrees. And the reason for that is alternate angles. And then finally, if we know this is 78 and we know that this is 64, because we know what y is, then we can work out what x is. So x equals 180 angles in a triangle, take away the 78 we know and the 64 we know. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. And just make sure you write down all the reasons as you go. And when we take away the 78 and the 64 from 180, you get 38. So x is therefore 38 degrees. The formula for the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h, with h being the height. So we've got pi times the radius 11 squared times the height. And that gives us 7,602.654 blah blah blah. And to two decimal places, that is 7,602.65. So the way this formula works is we have m, which is the final amount. The 2000 here is our initial amount. The decimal in here is our multiplier, and the power here is the amount of years. So the way multipliers work is they are the percentage divided by 100. So if we go the other way and times it by 100 to make it back into a percentage, it will be 102.9%. Now it says, what is the interest rate of the bank? Well, the interest rate is always going to be 100%. Well, this 102.9% is 100% plus the interest rate, which will equal the 102.9%. So the interest rate is going to be the 2.9%. You always start off with 100%. So if I put £5 into my bank, I've got 100% of that £5, and then the interest rate is on top of that 100%. So our answer here will be 2.9%. With these questions, it's normally easier to view these as two separate triangles. So we've got a small triangle here with 19 and 47. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this out. And we've got a bigger triangle here. And we've got, well, we've got a bit of, we don't really know any of the sides are just yet, but we can work them out. Okay, now we know that both of these triangles are similar, and the reason is they share an angle and the lengths at the bottom are parallel, so they will be similar, which means one's an enlargement of the other. And we are given some information in the question that the ratio of BC to DE is 1 to 6. So BC is this length here, and DE is this length here. So we're actually given the scale factor because we know that 1 times 6 is 6. So we know the scale factor is 6, and it's asking us to find length AD. And so the corresponding length to AD, which is this one here. So all we need to do is get that 47, times it by the scale factor, so times it by 6 to get to our value. So it's 282. So we're going to first of all draw a tree diagram for this information. You don't have to, but it is easier to understand what's going on. And so the first choice will be the first pick. It'll either be male or female. And the second choice will be the same, male and female. And looking at the questions, there are 3 male names in the hat and 5 names in total. So the fractions for the first one will be 3 over 5. If there's 3 male names, there'll be 2 females. Now, if we've picked a male name already, there'll be 2 left and 4 left in total. If we haven't picked a female, there's still 2 females, but there's 4 left in total. If we picked a female, there'd still be 3 males and only 4 left in total, but there'd only be 1 female left. 1 female name left and 4 left in total. Okay, we're looking for the probability that the genders of the names are different. So looking at the outcomes, the outcome here would be male-male. That's not what we're interested in. Here would be male-female, we are interested in. Female-male, we are interested in. And female-female, we're not interested in. So we're not interested in these ones. And the way that tree diagrams work is as you go along the tree, any fractions you go across, you multiply together to find the outcome. So this will be 3 over 5 times 2 over 4. And I realise I could cancel 2 over 4, but I generally cancel at the end. So 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 4 is 20. We're going to do the same with the other root. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4, 3/4. That would be 6 over 20. Now we're looking to see whether it was male and female or female and male. And the word or in probability means add. So it'd be 6 over 20 plus 6 over 20. And this is the probability of different, which will be 12 over 20. Now 12 over 20 will cancel to 3 over 5, or 3/5. First thing we need to do is work out the volume of this prism, and it's a trapezium based prism. So the volume will be the area of the cross section, or area of the trapezium, times the length, how 3D the prism is. So trapezium is half a plus b h, and then times the length. Now A and B are the 2 parallel sides, which will be this one and this one. And then the h is the perpendicular line that hits both of them at 90 degrees, which is what perpendicular means, between the bases. So this will be the 25 meters here. So it's going to be half, and then we're going to add 1 and 5 times that by 25. The length is how 3D it is, so it would be that 10 there. So we're going to times that by 10, and that will give us 750. So it's 750 meters cubed. Now, there is a little formula we can make for the rate. So the rate of anything for this will be the volume gained over time. Now, with this question though, we're interested in the time it will take. It says how long will it take. So we're actually looking at the time. So it will be time equals the volume, which is 750, over the rate, which is 15. So 750 divided by 15 is 50. So it will take 50, and let's have a look. It says per minute. So it would be 50 minutes. So we're going to first of all find out how many potatoes were below 22 grams. So we're going to draw a line up at 22 and a line across, and that is 13. So there are 13 potatoes below 22 grams. And so to work out the probability of picking one below 22 grams, it's the amount that we have below that amount, or below that weight, over the total amount of potatoes, which will be 20. So it would be 13 over 20, which is equal to 65 over 100, so that would be 65%. We're asked to solve this quadratic, and we're told that we're going to leave the answers to 2 decimal places, so chances are we're using the quadratic formula. So for the quadratic formula, we're going to use a, b and c. We'll go find a, b and c. A is the coefficient of the x squared. Now, we don't actually have a number before the x squared. Well, we kind of do. There is a 1 there, we just don't bother showing it. So a is 1. B is the coefficient of the x, which would be minus 15, and c is the number left over at the end. We're going to write down the quadratic formula, but instead of a, b and c, we're going to feed in the values that we've got. So it's minus b, always put them into brackets, plus minus square root of b squared. So I always put a, b and c into brackets, because here if you don't have the brackets it will square the 15, then put a negative before it. It won't be correct. And I just put brackets for each of the numbers. So 4 times 1 times 6, because if you put brackets around all of them you'll never ever have that problem. And then 2 times 1. Put that into our calculator with a plus there, and you will get the answer of 14.588 blah blah blah. Go back on your calculator and change that to a minus. Most calculators have cursor keys. You can go back and delete it and change it, and you get 0.411 blah blah blah. So to 2 decimal places, our solutions are 14.59 and 0.41. In this question it might be easier just to draw a quick diagram. So let's draw this equilateral triangle, and it says that its lengths are all 10 centimeters, and we're looking to find the area. Now we also know with an equilateral triangle all the angles are 60 degrees, so we can plot those, but we don't need to plot them all, we can just plot one of them. And we know that to find the area of a triangle, we can use this formula here, which is half AB sine capital C. And if we have a look at this diagram, we can label the sides. So I'll call this side, this angle C, and little c here, and little a here, and little b here. So let's put that into our formula. Little a is 10, little b is 10, and sine c, which is 60. So with a, b and c, it doesn't matter what you label a, b and c, as long as the angle is opposite the side with the same letter. The angles are all capital letters, the lengths are all lowercase. Okay, so let's put that into our calculator, and we get the answer of 43.301 blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so that is 43.3. So we're told that y is inversely proportional to the cube root of x. And to get rid of this proportionality sign here, we just convert it to an equals and times the right hand side by k, which represents a constant. And we now need to figure out what that constant is. So we're going to feed in the value of y and x that's given to us in the question. So we've got 10 equals k over the cube root of 343. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to solve that. So put our lines in. Now the cube root of 343 is 7. So we can actually just, it's a lot easier, and we're just going to times both sides by 7. So k equals 70, and we're just going to rewrite this, but instead of k, we're just going to write 70. So y equals 70 over the cube root of x. We're going to start by working out what outcomes will give us two different types of drink. So we could have OA or AO. We could have AW or WA, and we could have OW or WO. Now what we notice really when we do this is that OA gives us the same probability as AO. Same with AW and WA, same with OW and WO. So we're going to just ignore the right hand side ones, and we're just going to focus on the left hand side ones. To work out the probability of O and then A, so orange juice then apple juice, we work out the fact that it's 6 over, well, the probability of picking orange juice first of all is 6 over 27. And then if we picked an orange juice, the probability of picking an apple juice would be 9 over 26. And so that would be 54 over 702. Apple juice then water would be 9 over 27. And then 12 over 26. And so that would be 108 over 702, and then orange juice then water will be 6 over 27 and 12 over 26, and that would be 72 over 702. Now we're looking at the probability of this or this or this, and the word or means add. So the probability of OA or, I should put that in brackets, probability of OA or AW or OW is these added together, and when you add them together you get 234 over 702. Now I said we would deal with the reverse situations now. I'm going to deal with that now. And as I said, OA is going to be equal to AO, AW is equal to WA, and OW is equal to WO. So all we need to do to find the probability that the drinks are different is get the 234 over 702 and just double it. And we can do that by just doubling the numerator. So 468 over 702. That cancels down to 2/3. So there is a 2/3 chance that the drinks will be different. Whenever you're asked to work out a proportion of items in a histogram, you can actually do it by just counting the squares. So in the first bar, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 squares here. The next one, you've got kind of 4 half squares, so that will be 2 squares in total. And then we've got 4 squares in the last one. So altogether we have, for the amount of squares, we have 12 plus 2 plus 4, which will be 18. So it's 18 squares in total. Now it says that we're looking for between 25, which will be here, and 45, which will be here. So we count the squares in this little interval. So there are 3 here and there's half a 1 here. So the squares between 25 and 45, I should say dash 45, 25 to 45 is 3.5. Okay, so we've got 3.5 in total, or 3.5, out of a possible 18. So we just need to do 3.5 divided by 18 to work out the proportion, and that gives us 0.194 blah blah blah. It says it wants its 2 decimal places, that would be 0.19. Iteration is a process to find a solution, and we're asked to find the solution for this correct to, or a solution for this correct to 2 decimal places. Now what we're going to do on a calculator is something a bit weird. We're going to literally just press the number 2 and then we're going to press equals. When you do that, it stores the 2 in the calculator's memory. The next thing we're going to do is type in 13, and as soon as you type in the 1, the 2 will disappear. So 13 minus square root of answer. And most calculators call it ANS, answer. On the Casio calculators, it's at the bottom right and then left 1. It's next to the equal sign. And then next time we press equals, what it will do is it will get this 2, it will feed it into this, and then it will work out what the next solution is. When you do that, you get a solution of 11.59 when rounded to the 2 decimal places. Press it again, you get 9.60, again rounded to 2 decimal places. Again, 9.90, 9.85. So it's getting closer to something now. 9.86 and then 9.86. So our solution, our answer, is going to be 9.86, because as soon as the number repeats, then you stop and you write down that answer. So we're going to need to complete the square to be able to answer this question, but the first thing I need to focus on is this 2, the coefficient of the x squared. I want to make sure that x squared doesn't have a coefficient, or has a coefficient of 1. So we're going to start off by just removing or dividing out that 2, and we're going to do it from the x squared and the x term. So we're going to be left with the x squared plus, and that's 14x, and we just leave this plus 5 at the end. That plus 5 really only ever comes into use at the end. Now we're going to complete the square here, so that will give us brackets x plus half of the x coefficient, which is 7 squared, and I'm just going to expand that quickly here. So x plus 7 squared is the same as x plus 7, x plus 7, and when we expand that we get x squared plus 14x, which is good, and then we get plus 49. Now this bit here is the bit we need to remove. So what I'm going to do here is just take away that 49, because we don't really want that 49. Close bracket, plus 5. Okay, now I'm going to expand these brackets and to have the 2 next to the x plus 7 squared, and 2 times minus 49, which will be minus 98, plus 5. And then all we need to do now is add the minus 98 and the plus 5 together, which should be minus 93. The m part will be the 2, the p part will be the 7, and the q part will be the minus 93. So to find the shaded part of this diagram, we need to first of all work out the volume of the smaller cone, which is at the top. Then work out the volume of the larger cone, which is the whole cone shown, and then take them away from each other. So the radius for the smaller cone is 4, and the height is 5. And the radius for the larger cone is 20, and the height is the 20 plus the 5, so it would be 25. So I'm just going to label them A and B. And so why don't we work out the volume for B first? And the formula for the volume of a cone is a third pi r squared h, with h being the perpendicular height. So it's a third times pi times 20 squared times 25, which is going to be 10,471.975, blah, blah, blah. We're going to work out the volume for A, and this time it will be a third times pi times the radius now is 4, and the height is 5. So that will be 83.775, blah, blah, blah. So to work out the shaded bit, we're just going to do the volume for B, take away the volume for A. So it's going to be 10,471.975, take away 83.775. And all those I'm going to keep in the calculator to keep the accuracy. And that gives us 10,388.199, blah, blah, blah. And to 2 decimal places, it's going to be 10,388.20. We're asked to solve this quadratic. It doesn't look like a quadratic yet, but I'm sure it will do at some point. Now, the first thing with this question to focus on is the fractions. We're not going to be able to do anything with this question with those fractions there. And normally, if you see fractions or brackets in a question, the first thing you want to do is get rid of those. So I'm going to start by just copying the question down. So we've got 2 over, and let's just do the other over while I'm here. So we've got 2 over x minus 5. So we've got to get rid of the x minus 5, and we've got to get rid of this x plus 5. We've got plus 8 equals 0. And I'm going to just shift down so we've got loads of space here to be able to do this question, because this is going to be quite a lengthy question. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the fraction on the left-hand side. And the way of doing that is I'm just going to times both sides by x minus 5. Now when you times both sides by something and there's more than one term on one of the sides, you've got to times each of the terms. So we're going to start by timesing the left-hand fraction. Well, that will just get rid of the x minus 5 and just leave 2. Then we're going to times the second fraction. So when you times something by a fraction, you just times the numerator. So it becomes 5 brackets x minus 5 over x plus 5. And then we're going to times this 8. In fact, let's just try and keep our pluses consistent. So it would be 8 brackets x minus 5. Now 0 times anything is just 0, so this will just remain as 0. Okay, next we're going to times by the x plus 5 to get rid of that fraction. Both sides. So this will leave us with 2 brackets x plus 5. That will get rid of this fraction here, and we'll just leave the x minus 5, and then this will become 8 brackets x minus 5 brackets x plus 5. And 0 times anything is just 0. Okay, next thing we need to do is multiply out these brackets. So we're left with 2x plus 10 plus 5x minus 25 plus 8x minus, that's a quadratic, so that will be plus, let me try and work it out quickly, it was 8x squared plus 0x minus 200 equals 0. Now notice here in the brackets it's a difference of 2 squares. You've got an x minus 5 and an x plus 5, and difference of 2 squares end up with 0, the coefficient of x being 0. That's not really a surprise. Collect the like terms. So we've got 8x squared, and that's the only x squared we've got. We've got the 2x and the 5x and the 0x, so we've got a 7x. And we've got we've got plus 10, minus 25, and a minus 200. So what's that? That's minus 215 equals 0. Now, normally when you look at it and it doesn't look like it will factorise. If this is on the calculator paper, chances are it will be a question on the on using the quadratic formula. If you look back at the question as well, the biggest clue is it asks for the answer to be to 2 decimal places, so it clearly won't factorise. So we are using the quadratic formula. So for our quadratic formula, we need to know what a equals, and a is the coefficient of the x squared, so a equals 8. We need to know what b equals, and that's the coefficient of the x, so that's 7. And we need to know what c equals, and that's the number at the end, which will be minus 215. So the quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and all of that over 2a. So what we're going to type into our calculator will be minus bracket 7. Now I always put them into brackets. You don't need to with this when it's positive, but when it's negative it really does help. Minus 4 times, and then a is 8 times, and then c is minus 215. And students get into problems when they don't put them into brackets. But if you put them into brackets, you'll always be covered. Okay, so to do this, you type that into your calculator with a plus, and you type it into your calculator with a minus. When you type it into the calculator with a plus, you get 4.765, blah, blah, blah. And when you type it into the calculator with a negative, you get minus 5.640, blah, blah, blah. And so that will lead to the solutions of 4.77 to two decimal places, and minus 5.64 to 2 decimal places. It's always important with these questions to realise what the normal graph will look like before we have a look at what the new function will look like. So it's always good to remind yourself what a y equals sine x graph looks like, and it fluctuates between 1 and minus 1, if I write a minus 1, and it goes up first of all at 90, goes back down at 180, down to minus 1 at 270, and then back up at 360. So it's just a simple sketch to help us figure out what's going on with the transformed one. So first thing I notice is there is a negative here, which just means it will be flipped in the x-axis. So this would become like this. And there's also a 2 there, so we're multiplying all the y coordinates by 2. So instead of this going down to minus 1, it will start by going down to minus 2, and it will go up all the way to 2. So we've got a nice idea of how this will look, and so we're going to just start plotting this now, I think. So it will go down at 90, which is, so there, to minus 2, back up to 180 at 0, and then back up to 2 at 270, down to 360, and then it will just go again, 540, up there, and then back down. Not the best graph I've ever drawn, but I think the examiner will understand that I know what the graph will look like, so don't panic about making too many mistakes when you're drawing curves. Just try your best to get it as low as possible, but don't go back and start feathering the lines or anything. A simple trick when you're finding the inverse of a function is to replace or to switch the y and the x. Now we don't actually have a y in here, but we can just put one in, it's not a problem. So we can just rewrite this function as y equals x over 10 minus 11, and we're just going to switch around the y and the x. So x equals y over 10 minus 11. Now, the objective now is to get the y on its own, to make y the subject. So we're going to first of all add the 11 both sides. And I've made an amateur move here. I've not left myself enough room, so let's just scoot that across. Okay, so add the 11, so it would be x plus 11 equals y over 10. Next thing we're going to do is multiply by the 10 to get y on its own. So it would be 10 brackets x plus 11 equals y. Expand those would be 10x plus 110 equals y. Now this doesn't equal y. We are looking for the inverse function with this notation here. So we just replace the y with this notation and we get 10x plus 110. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.